Long story short, at the beginning and at the end, 413 of every wound, there's an incision, there's a cut, okay? And it's not just a cut, it's something that actually penetrates the tissue. And anytime you go past the epidermis and you tissue deep, it's death, okay? DEPTH with that thing, okay? It's bone deep, you know? So, not to say that it's easy, it's not. It's something that sometimes you'll be tormented with it. I've been tormented with the relationship that I feel like I've mourned for years before I was even aware that there was anything called spirituality or anything. I've mourned it for years, okay? I don't know why in my head I'm saying millennia, okay? Like I've mourned it for so long, wanting to have this rate of experience that felt consistent, you know? And for me, even making the decision to have my peace and to not continue at the rate where I had to fight for my place or positioning in a circumstance that I know that could never really, really be challenged, you know, because a lot of times we don't understand what we represent for our family. We don't understand what we represent for our generation. We don't understand why it is that we're here, even when we're operating in the shadow, y'all. Like, wounded healers are still healers. Even in your wounding, you know, even in you being cut, right? And you bleeding out on all of these spaces, because that's what a lot of people are in. You're in this circumstance to where you've been cut, but you're not aware that you've been cut, but you know that you're hurting, right? And you're wanting to go through this life and actually be in this space where you've ignored your pain and you didn't address the stuff immediately, where you've put band-aids on things that really, really needed surgery, where you've allowed yourself to show up for others when you needed you and you didn't think that you mattered enough to make those other people not the priority. You literally have been in positions where you've continued to contribute to other people's ego baiting, right? And not even allowing yourself to be at a rate to where you say, hey, I'm not judging this person because this person is like, y'all start looking at y'all parents by their name so you could get to know the child version, the teenage version, the middle aged version, the adult version, the mother, the wife, like the father, the husband, like know them beyond what they were supposed to be for you, and then you have the ability, and sometimes you might not be able to do this physically, y'all. 90% of the stuff that I've done by going back to conversations on a energetic plane, all right, that I'd experienced, literally like time traveling back to the past, you know. Or there's like these moments where things will be okay and I'll have the opportunity, and for me, I'm aware that this isn't something that's going to last. So I'll ask questions. I'm very intentional about the connecting at this point because I know that there's no amount of time, right? And whatever is right then and there in that moment. And if you start to live at this rate with yourself, you get to be at this experience within yourself that allows you to see and perceive, like I said, beyond space, beyond time. And you're in this thing of whatever it is that's coming to you, whatever it is that's coming to teach you, and being taught, you know, being taught. Because a lot of y'all are meant to be teachers. A lot of y'all are meant to go back and say, you know, I was still, you know, the same 16-year-old version of myself in my 30s and in my 40s, and I didn't recognize it. The relationships that I created and cultivated, the groups that I would go into, I would constantly be the same little girl who needed to be the popular one, who needed to be seen as the one who had, the one who was, the one who is. I never really allowed myself to be something that would consider it to be an outcast, even in the group or amongst a group of outcasts. I wanted to be the one who was chosen. A lot of people don't want to live in the space of their truth. So when you're talking about dealing with a root, Okay, when you thinking about the mitochondria, when you thinking about the maternal side, your matriarchs, you are dealing with roots. You dealing with when you thinking about how deep the depth of this wound that you're literally harboring and you're wanting to operate off of. You're showing up in the conditioning that you just sat and experienced. You were just a kid. You didn't know that you picked up these habits. Like I said, as a wounded healer, a lot of the times healers will move on throughout life wanting to pick up galls and stitches and sutures, and they're actually wanting to actually appendage other people's, circumstances. They're trying to address other people's situations, and they do this out of a pureness sometimes, right? And sometimes it's wanting to be self-validated, operating out of ego, whatever it is, all right? When you really, really allow yourself to sit with it, you'll recognize, I actually don't have a problem with this person. I'm just offended that this person stands by themselves. Because a lot of y'all have issue with me because I keep on doing the thing that annoys y'all most, and that's not giving up. you know, that's not caring about being invited or included, not choosing to be rejected. If you never really wanted to, a lot of y'all don't recognize it. A lot of y'all don't even want to be amongst the things that you've allowed yourself to be in the proximity of because you really stopped doing your choosing. You allow your ego, you allow your wounds, your pain, you allowed your inability and lack to trust yourself, to make the new decision, to be the new thing, to show up in this rate, and it gets very, very hard keeping up with it all. Y'all, I just had to throw my hands up. Like, I really don't care if I'm not liked. I don't care if I'm affecting or offending people. If Spirit told me this, it's a reason why Spirit told me this stuff. And a lot of times, y'all, they gave me a message like recently where they said allow your messages to linger, which required me to basically come off of line. And I had fought with myself in my head where I was basically stating things like, okay, if you're moving to a place of ease, you have to know and understand like ease is ease, and you can't get to ease by being this busy bee and going towards and being the worker and being all divine masculine and not divine feminine, right? And then the more I deal with the divine feminine, the magnet aspect of her gentleness, but yet firm hand. I'm not apologizing for what is, because you get it. You understand what I'm saying. You hear where I'm coming from. You know that I'm accurate. I'm saying things a lot of the times, y'all, I don't even recognize that I'm speaking to people's circumstances. I'm just being open. I'm being filled instead of being in my feelings. And a lot of people don't understand what that means because we be so used to people wanting to get back. You never really meet a lot of people that really, really don't got no fight for you just because of whatever you did. I know why you did it. You were triggered. I didn't mean anything by it. Spirit told me to say it. I'm happy that you was able to receive it. I'm aware that you received it based off of how you acting. And I ain't lose no sleep over it. And a lot of times we got to get to the rate to where we could be that within ourselves. So we could actually start to see, okay, well, shoot, where is it that I'm showing up in these places and positioning myself to continue and make something perpetual that Meemaw did and that my great 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 grandma, because we called my grandma B96, y'all. My grandma would gossip her butt off, and I would always argue with her, telling her how gossiping wasn't right and how I wanted to be, talked to about me. I would be mad at my grandma, y'all. I would call her and she would want to talk to me about everybody else. And I would ask her, like, do you want to hear about me? Like, do you want to talk to me about me, or do you want to just, because I don't want to be on the phone. I don't even talk to these people. You want to talk to them, you call them. And I would get in trouble. I would get, reprimanded for being somebody who had the bold mentality to say to my grandma, out of all people, you need to stop gossiping. A lot of y'all are still in the rate of being, you just moved buildings, you came out of the church and you decided to go to Telegram. So when you dealing with wanting to start address your wounds and stuff, you have to recognize what's actually been fixed in that bone that you wanting to skip over just because you see the tissue, but then you want to skip over the tissue just because you've always used the band-aid to cover your wounds and it ain't been that bad. You just been used to doing it that way.